What's going on YouTube? I'm Killer here, back with another video. Today we're going to be going over all of my settings that I use for Call of Duty Black Ops 6, also Warzone. So both are pretty much interchangeable between Warzone and Black Ops 6. I'm going to go through controller settings first and then go into graphics, interface, audio, and all that good stuff. Let's go ahead and get right into it. So for first things first, we're going to go into controller. I play on tactical. Stick layout is still set to default. 9.7 is the preferred sensitivity that I play on for controller. Before in Warzone, back in MW3, it was 8.6, but the 9.7 just feels correct in this iteration of the game. Feels like one notch up from prior game sensitivity. It just feels like it's the same as prior game, if that makes sense. We're going to go down. All these are off. Controller vibration, I always play on off. Dead zone inputs is pretty important. This is obviously going to cater towards if your controller has stick drift or not. I recently just purchased a FlyDG Vader Pro 4. It's catered towards having essentially zero stick drift, but you essentially want to just fix your dead zones to the point where there's practically no input on either of these. You could test the dead zone right there. So 2 minimum 75 max, 2 minimum 75 max, and left and right trigger is just set to 4. Onto the aiming tab, sensitivity multiplier, it's all set pretty standard 1.0, nothing changed there. This is standard. Aim advanced settings, instant assist and dynamic response curve, very important. You set this to dynamic, and the rest of this is just set to default. Target aim assist is obviously on. You want to keep this on, otherwise you won't have aim assist on controller. ADS aim assist, obviously keep that on as well. Motion sensor behavior, just keep all this stuff off. Don't mess with any of it. Just leave it off. You don't want any motion sensor stuff going on in the background while you're trying to play the game in a competitive FPS. Next up, we've got sprint assist. This is pretty important here. I have the sprint assist still to 2 because I heard 0 was bugged. So you guys can try 0, see if it still works. They might have patched it or fixed it, but I just have it at 2. All the stuff I keep on for sprint assist. Mantle assist I have off, and then mantle assist angle tight. I think that's just all default stuff. I didn't really mess with too much of this. Corner slice I have off. This is a weird setting. So in the game, you can actually peek around corners, but when the enemy is looking at you, they don't see you actually corner peeking on their screen. That you'll actually just appear as a normal person. Slide die behavior, this is personal preference. I switch between hybrid and slide only depending on what I'm doing. If I'm playing multiplayer, for example, I'll push it on slide only, but if I'm switching to Warzone and like diving is sort of more essential, I'll change to hybrid. Sprint restore on, slide maintain sprint on. Parachute automatic behaviors, for the love of God, change this to off. You don't want to your parachute to auto deploy in certain scenarios in Warzone where it can potentially cuck you. So you want to be in control of your own movement at all times in the game. So just for the love of God, turn this off. Mantle cancels reload. I have this on, but I feel like I should have this off. I think this setting actually got changed. It should always be off. I don't want to cancel my reload whenever performing certain actions, so I would turn that off. Sprint tactical, sprint behavior, just have this on toggle. This stuff you can change to single tap sprint. I feel like the game actually changed my settings up recently, so some of this stuff got reset, but these are the correct settings that I'm sort of changing to right now, so you guys can copy that. Vehicle advanced settings, you can just have this on driver control. Do not have this on aim-based control, because that's what this game will default to. Have it on driver control. It feels similar to prior Warzone. You don't want to control your car or your helicopter with your analog sticks, so you'd rather have that basically R2, L2, right bumper, right trigger, left trigger, just to control your car. And all this stuff, just copy as is. Onto the combat tab, you can copy this basically as is. Some of this is personal preference. Combat advanced settings, I have this prioritize interact, combo behavior, independent. So you switch, you shoot each akimbo weapon at a time. Sprint cancels reload. You definitely want to have that on off, and I prefer to have depleted ammo switch off as well. And then that's pretty much it for controller settings. We can now segue into the interface settings real quick before we head into graphics. So first of all, in interface, you can pretty much copy these as is. A lot of these are really personal preference. For me, I like to have FPS, server latency, packet loss, graphic temperature, and the clock on for my telemetry settings. And then readability. I don't like having text on my screen when I'm playing a competitive shooter, so I just have all the subtitles off. And gameplay HUD is pretty important, so for the love of God, change your fucking minimap to square. Do not have this on round. The game just defaults it to round. I don't know why it does that. It looks like shit. Change it to square, and you'll be a-okay. HUD bounds. You can play around with this. I just have this on default. It doesn't really bother me. And then I think this crosshair is also personal preference. I just prefer mine on center dot and just keep it on larger. And you can actually change the color of this, which is cool. I just have mine on default because that's what I'm used to. Next up, we're going to go into the graphic settings now. Precursor to this, I do have the latest and greatest Intel CPU and the latest NVIDIA GPU. So I'm running an Intel i14-900 and a NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4090. So based off of those two parameters, I am able to sort of run the game on these settings that I'm about to show you. So for the love of God, if you have like something slightly worse, you can test it out on lower settings, but I'm about to go through all my graphic settings here so you guys can see. Full screen borderless is what I run my display mode on. You guys can switch to full screen exclusive if you only have one monitor, but I have multiple monitors, so you guys can kind of take that as however it feels to you. If you have one monitor, switch to exclusive, it'll increase your frames slightly, probably not by much, but full screen borderless, I barely notice any performance deviation. And then you're gonna want to go down to here. This NVIDIA Reflex low latency setting is pretty important. So basically, if you're GPU bound, you want to have this on. If you're CPU bound, you want to have it on plus boost. So what this does is, if you take your eyeballs and take a look at the text here, it'll basically spell out what you need to set this on. The game by default, I notice, will always have this on if you have a decent GPU and CPU. So I didn't change it from that because the game decided to leave it on. I tested both of these on and on plus boost, and my game performed basically the same. But if you have a really good graphics card, really good GPU, and a shittier CPU, set this to on plus boost. If you have a really good CPU and a really good GPU, you can set this to on. But definitely don't leave this on off. It's a huge performance boost if you have it on at least one of these settings. Eco mode preset, I set this to custom. VSync off. VSync menu is off. So the VSync gameplay is like, if you're experiencing a lot of screen tearing and things like that, you can set this to 50%, 100%, but you can test that out, but I would just leave this off. Custom frame limit, I just have this on unlimited because my monitor can handle up to 360 hertz, and the custom frame rate limit will only let you go up to 300. Menu render resolution, I have this on native. Pause game rendering off. Reduce quality when inactive off. And I have focus mode to 0. HDR I have off. Next we go to the quality tab. This graphic preset, I just have this render resolution to 100. This will just basically make sure the game doesn't look like complete crap. Dynamic resolution, just keep this off. Upscaling, there are quite a few good upscaling settings in this game. By far, Fidelity FX Cast runs the best. I've tested some of these other ones, and they do not look nearly as crisp or clean as Fidelity FX Cast. And you can test this out on your side. But for me, this is the best looking and the best performance-wise that you get as far as the upscaling sharpening setting. So run it on that, and I just have mine set to 80. NVIDIA DLSS frame generation is a really important setting. If you are playing the single player version of this game or even zombies, you can set this to on and you'll get a lot of more AI generated frames. However, it increases your input latency. So for example, if I push A on my controller, it'll make it, I don't know, maybe like a 200 millisecond delay from the input, or maybe a 50 millisecond delay from the input to what the game registers on my screen. So you don't want any input latency whatsoever. in a competitive FPS. For the love of God, change this off. You don't want that. You only want this in single player scenarios where you want the game to look crisp, clean. The AI smoothness, the frame generation does help the game look a lot more, I guess, fluid. But you don't want this in a competitive FPS where, you know, input latency matters and you need to get that quick time to kill. VRAM skill target, set this to 80. You shouldn't really set this to anything above 80. I've tested it. It doesn't help. Just keep this at 80 and you'll be fine. Variable rate shading. This is such a good setting to improve frames performance. Always, always, always keep this on. So here's details and textures section here. But guys, keep in mind I'm running a 4090 GPU and the latest Intel CPU, the i14-900. So my VRAM usage doesn't actually scale that high when I'm running these textures on high. If you're noticing a huge performance loss on having these on high, depending on what your GPU, CPU parameters are, set it to normal. You don't want to set it to anything below normal because otherwise the game is just going to look like shit. I would see depth of field, have this off. You don't want any of that side crap going on where you're just blurry, motion blur. All those motion blur things I'll show you guys in a second. You just always want those off. Detail quality low, particle resolution very low. I keep bullet impacts on because I want to see if there's like shots and stuff on the screen. It doesn't have that big of an impact on performance. You guys can keep this on, but this persistent effects does affect your performance, so leave that off. Shader quality, I have this on low. Even if you have this on low, the game will still show shadows. It really doesn't matter, the level of detail of the shadows, and it does affect performance, so just keep that on low. Minimal texture, streaming, just keep this minimal. You don't really need this to be set on optimize. Always have this on minimal. Local texture streaming quality, just keep that normal as well. Shadow quality, very low. Your shadow quality, you'll still see the shadows. It's not a huge loss in quality, and it does affect performance as well, so just keep that on very low. These settings, you just want these off, off, low, off, and you're good to go. So onto the view tab. So this game will actually have this motion reduction preset. You never want to have this on, otherwise it'll just override what you previously did. So just have this off and just play around with your field of view. Anywhere between 100 to 110 is the best in my opinion. Anything above this, you start losing aim assist on controller, so just have it around that parameter. I personally switched from 105 to 110 more recently, so that's what I personally prefer. Yeah, ADS field of view, have this on affected. It just looks a lot better. And weapon field of view, so your gun isn't hogging up most of your screen, just have this on wide. Third person, just max this out to 90. Vehicle field of view, have this on wide. I would, for the love of God, turn world motion blur and weapon motion blur off. You don't want your game to be fucking schizo when you're trying to swap or run or change or sway your gun. So, like, turn that off. You don't want that shit. And then these, you just want least first person ADS, and inverted flashbang I prefer to keep on because I don't like the feeling of eating a fucking flashbang through my monitor when somebody flashes me and having a white fucking light shining right in my face. So I prefer the blackness in my monitor to go dark, so my fucking retinas and my corneas are thanking me. So just for the love of God, if you don't want to fucking eat a flashbang when you have a flashbang thrown at you, turn this on. So yeah, let's go ahead and move on to audio now. And this is gonna be sort of derived based off of what your home setup is. If you play on headphones, you want to cater to the headphone settings. If you play on a TV, you want to cater to the TV settings. For me personally, I play on an Astro A50X headset, so I prefer to have the headphone settings. I did also pay for that pay-to-win audio, so I have mine set to enhanced audio mode on, and I have this on personalized. You can also try universal, see if the audio sounds better, but that is what I have it on currently. A couple of key settings here for audio is you want to set this to headphones bass boost. This will make sure you have crisper audio. If you're on console, you just set it to sucker punch and don't mess with it any further. The next thing here is configure frequency intensity. You can actually adjust your frequency for your left and right channels. A friend of mine actually shared these settings with me, and I tested them in game, and they do actually actually help quite a bit. So as you go through, you can actually test these settings yourself. It's the same for both right channel and left channel frequency. So just go down the list and just change these two frequencies to that, and you'll be able to hear footsteps a lot better. Reduce tinnitus sound, I have this on and hit marker preset, just have it on default. Voice chat settings, this is really personal preference. And yeah, you can cater this to whatever you want to. I just have my microphone mode on push to talk because I don't like being in game chat constantly. But yeah, that about covers it, guys. These are settings from a top 250 player. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and please leave a like if this helped you in any way, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace. Take care.